The following program contains violence, disturbing imagery, nudity, and, oh my God, why are you even watching this? Just run away. This shit is going to give you nightmares.
Hey, come here. You look like a music lover.
Excuse me, senor. It is not ole ole. No, see. It is only one ole. Like this.
Yeah.
Recorded live at the Jerrad Show studios in Tampa, Florida. It's another episode of the Jerrad Show. And now, here's your host, Jerrad Suarez.
That's right, it's another episode of the Jerrad Show. Monday, November 27th. The show is not live tonight, and I already feel 1,000 times better. Got some content planned for the show. Maybe even a guest caller. You never know. But, I figured I'd start off with a Monday staple here on the Jerrad Show. Since I started the show, doing it every day, I kicked it up a notch from just 3 times a week to 5 times a week. And not only is it 5 times a week, it's every fucking day. I'm here. I am here on a Monday recording this podcast for you. It's not live, but it's as live as I want to get. The staple of the Jerrad Show Monday show, since I've started this incarnation of the Jerrad Show, has been The Walking Dead. And how much I fucking just watch that show. I hate it so much, but I love it at the same time. I love being able to just bitch about fucking things that I think should happen, because I've watched the entire series and I've read every comic book. So I can see there's a lot of differences, but what they've done with this season is just horrific. On last night's show, we finally saw Michonne for the first time since the first episode. She had a bigger break in between the first episode and her appearance last night than Negan did, Jeffrey Dean Morgan. And I mean, why? Why did they even keep her on the show? It was pointless, her fucking thing last night. And then the garbage truck of convenience fucking just the garbage truck with Daryl and the one chick. I can't even remember her name right now. I had such a problem remembering what Enid's name was, because goddamn, that girl grew some big ass titties, bro. Seriously, you go back and look, and you're like, it's just a regular kid, teenage girl, and then this season, bam, just like out there, like, and you could tell that they were trying to like shift the camera up when they were taking shots of her, like they would try to cut out the titties, but I mean, I had to look her up today. I was like, that's ridiculous, man. If that was my daughter, I'd be so pissed. And then I looked her up, and she was 18 years old. She just turned 18 in June. I'm like, those are some big-ass titties. So, props to you, Caitlin Noriko. I don't even know how to pronounce her last name, or I'm not even looking at it. I don't care that much. But last night's episode wasn't as bad as the rest of them. There was a lot of development and shit going on. It wasn't so fucking slow. Like the beginning kind of pissed me off a little bit. They started looking, off into the distance and thinking while dramatic music plays underneath them, and it's a montage of all the characters. And I'm like, come on, we've done this every fucking episode. Why are we doing this? And then, Rick is in some sort of trailer. I don't even remember that happening last week. I don't remember that at all. And then the naked trash people, what the fuck is up with that? I mean, in the beginning of the episode, the chick was naked, and by the end of the episode, Rick was naked in the trailer. I mean, these people have some problems with nudity. I mean, not problems, but they, they can't deal with it. But problems like they like it too much. Like some people have problems with alcohol or drugs. These people have problems with nudity. It's really weird. I don't understand what the fuck they're doing. The whole Carl thing, that was kind of cool. I like seeing the new character. I like that there's a brown character on The Walking Dead. That's nice. I mean, a nice addition. He's a cool actor. I stuck around and watched The Talking Dead after the episode last night because Kevin Smith was on it. And I believe they revealed that Morgan, the character Morgan, is going to die at the end of this season because he's going back to shoot with Fear the Walking Dead, and he was on live, and he was like, man, the hardest thing about moving to the other show is saying goodbye to all the cast and the crew. And I'm like, what? That means that your character's going to die and you're not going to be on the show next season? I mean, because... fuck, that's insane. That would be pretty crazy. He said that he had just left Atlanta that night, or the day before he had shot in Atlanta as his last day of shooting for The Walking Dead, and then the next day he was in Austin where they shoot Fear of the Walking Dead. Should be interesting. I liked Morgan. I'm looking forward to that. Tonight on the show, I have a special guest for you. He has been on the show before, but it's been years. It has been years. And maybe you Jerrad Show listeners are saying, oh, is it Coco? No, but that would be a good guest. That would be a great guest to have. And I'll start working on that. Wait, is it Frank? Is Frank back? No, I said years. My buddy Daniel Garcia is going to call in a little bit. He's living out in Seattle now. He moved all the way from St. Pete to Seattle, the furthest fucking distance that anyone could move away from somebody. I mean, I guess if you lived in Miami or Key West and then you moved all the way up there, that would be a little bit further. But Florida to Washington is quite a distance. I wanted to talk to him about his trip that he went out there, the way he got out there. We'll talk about it more when he gives me a call here. But let's see what's going on here. Okay. He drove all the way across the country from fucking St. Petersburg to Seattle and made a big road trip out of it. And, we'll talk about that when he gives me a call here soon, hopefully. He was scheduled for a minute ago, and he did not call in by now, but that's okay. He's getting things set up with his Skype and whatnot. I saw the movie 1922 on Netflix, Now, I'm a big Thomas Jane fan, just because of his role as the Punisher here in Tampa. It was filmed with him and John Travolta, Rebecca Romaine Stamos, and here we go. I watched 1922, and he plays a farmer from Omaha, Nebraska, and his performance is fucking amazing in this movie. Like, I know he's Australian. I've heard him talk, but this accent that he puts on and this performance is absolutely amazing. I'm seeing my guest live here on Skype, and there we go. He's giving us a call in. Let's see if this works. D. Hello. Welcome to the Jerrad Show.
Yo.
Welcome to the Jerrad Show, sure.
Well, how's it going, my friend?
It's good. I was just getting into 1922. I watched a movie over the weekend with Thomas Jane, and it's based off a Stephen King short story, I believe, and it's about a farmer in Omaha, Nebraska, who in 1922 he killed his wife with the help of his son, and he just starts going crazy because he killed his wife, and he's got that all on top of him.
Oh, you know what? I did watch the trailer for that, but I don't know a thing about it. I was like, wow, they kind of put the whole story out there in the preface, you know?
Yeah.
So
I mean, you kind of got,
but it did look interesting.
Yeah, I mean that kind of just like it's sets up the movie. You have to know that part of the movie, like going into it, or you're probably not going to like the movie.
Yeah, I guess I could see that. It's kind of like, have you seen Sinner or the preview for that, or how they like built that up?
No, I
that
haven't.
little like mini series with Jessica Biel. It's like really the only reason I wanted to watch it. But
no shit. What is that? Is that on?
It's
Netflix?
on USA
okay.
actually, which is killing it for me. Everything I'm watching right on there is right now is USA. So
No
Mr.
shit.
Robot, Damnation, and then Sinner I started watching. But they kind of did the same thing where they built it up like this girl just randomly kills somebody and she doesn't understand why. So, there's no like mystery behind that, but you're going forward wondering, trying to figure out what the deal was. So they kind of put the information out there at first too. So I guess it makes sense in these little murder mysteries.
Oh yeah, like True TV or whatever.
Yeah, you know what I mean, like where you already know somebody's getting killed.
Yeah.
somebody's getting whacked, but we want to know why, the psyche of why they did it, and so on and so forth. So I guess it makes sense, but that's not normally my forte. Eric and I have been on a Marvel kick lately. So
have you watched The Punisher?
We've been absorbing it. No, that's next on my list. You know what I didn't like about that is how Netflix promoted it. Because so my Netflix account emails me in my Gmail account, and I look at it, and the way they set it up was like you just received a virus. It was like something's not working, and there was like things blacked out, like they were redacted, and in the headlines of the email and stuff. So I open it up, and it does all this like Matrix type, graphics moving around, and I was like, oh my god, what is happening right now? And then the Punisher like logo or whatever comes up, and I was like, you bastards.
So they pissed you off with the marketing.
Watch it. Yeah, I was like, now I'm just not going to watch it out of spite, but that's really not true. I just haven't gotten to it.
It's good, man. Like I've only seen 3 episodes, and I really enjoyed it. Yeah, it's fucking crazy though, dude. Because I don't know if anybody said anything to you, but you look exactly like John Bernthal as a Punisher in the beginning.
Get the hell
of
out of here! Now I'm gonna have to take it out.
Not even fucking kidding. He wears the hat just the same as you, and with the hoodie over the hat, just because it's cold. He's in New York or whatever, and
so he's a badass motherfucker. Then
he's got a big black beard and long black hair. I'm like, dude, it's fucking Daniel. There was a couple of times.
Now I have to.
There was a couple of times where I almost screenshotted it while I was watching it on the iPad. I was like, I got to take a screenshot of this, but I just, for whatever reason, didn't. It's crazy.
Yeah, you should definitely have done that, because now I want to know what's up. And Erica, any reason that I can get Erica to watch a show that's not rainbows and unicorns is helpful. So if she thinks that somebody looks like me in there, maybe that'll help.
Yeah, it's eerie, bro. And I mean, he has a background in the military, and you have a background in the military. He comes out of the military, and like he's working on a construction job, like with a fucking hammer. I mean, I guess you really didn't.
Wow,
do
that's
that.
pretty weird.
You didn't really do
what?
that when you came out. When you came out of the
No,
military.
not when I came out. Right,
Before
right.
you went in.
No, but
you
that's
did
how
your
me and
fair
you
share.
met, though.
Yeah, we've done our fair share of hammer swinging in our day.
Yeah, absolutely. This is a blue collar podcast right here, buddy.
Not
Hey, you know
anymore
what?
apparently, because you're out in Seattle, so it's fucking green color now. So
Yeah, I
fucking-
guess if that's a thing. But yeah, you know what it is definitely it's definitely a different vibe over here, and I could definitely feel the difference from like my East Coast tendencies, because that's ultimately what it comes down to. It's not even just like Florida specific. What it comes down to is there's a lot of East Coast like mentalities, you know, that are totally in opposition to a lot of the things that are happening on the West Coast. So it's pretty similar vibe going down. So I definitely had to like, you know, calm down with my road rage and shit like that. And
it's more
you know,
chill
and,
out
like-
there. Like the road wages.
yeah. No, I mean everybody. My problem is that everybody's just going too slow. Like everybody's just taking their time, wandering around. You know, the interstate speeds are pretty slow in some places, like 40 something miles per hour on the interstate.
What?
And I'm like, yeah, bro. So I'm like, you know, so I'm just like, I'm Florida driving around. I'm like, get the fuck out of the way. And it was just completely unnecessary, you know. But it's just the way we learn to drive and control chaos, I think. But
Dude,
no, the general attitude, man, of the area is just very, you know, very lax and laid back. I feel
Yeah,
like
it's
for the
'cause-
most part, especially for a big city.
That's because everybody's smoking weed up there. So yeah, of course it's fucking 40 miles an hour on the fucking interstate. But man, you guys are going way
got all
too
that-
fast, man. I gotta go slow down, bro.
You know, I feel like that probably does have something to do with it. Then you're high and you're going half the speed anyway. So you got people going like 20 miles per hour, and that's where those are the assholes that I'm, you know, flying in and out of or whatever. Another thing I'll tell you that's interesting is the power of the pedestrian here. Like
Yeah.
I feel like, you know, for the most part on the East Coast, like you just better not be in the road when a car's coming because you will get run over. But over here, it's like I've literally had multiple people already get indignant at me for not like stopping far away enough from them while they're taking their time to walk across the road.
Yeah.
You know, like
Or
I
stop too
literally-
fast.
Yeah, like the first time, okay, I'll tell you the first thing that happened. The first time I was coming off right before you get to my apartment, you come right off the interstate and you go down this like steep hill, right? So I was coming across the road and this person was getting ready to get on the crosswalk, wasn't even on the crosswalk, so I go past them, whatever, right? And I just happened to look in my rearview mirror and they got their hands thrown up in the air, like, what the fuck, man? Like I didn't let them walk across the road when they weren't even close. So that's the level of like indignation that I'm talking about here. So then another situation I had just recently, actually, it's, you know, I go across town in traffic, right, to go to school a couple of days a week, and I'm almost there, and this is a tight part of the route, and there's turnoffs so you can get out of the jam up and then, you know, go a different direction or whatever, right, on these one ways, and so there's a whole bunch of cars flowing, and all of a sudden this girl just starts walking across the road in the middle of it. And this wasn't like a road with a light, so she didn't have the right of way, the walk signal or anything.
Right.
And she's on her phone, and she's totally oblivious to the car that literally almost like screeched to stop, you know, in front of her. Doesn't even look, and there's a whole line of cars behind it, and I'm just trying to get by it. I'm not even in that line. So I just hit a couple honks, right? I'm like, pop, pop, you know, a little Florida came out. I got by, and I went down to the light. So I'm sitting there, mind my own business, listening to my East Coast hip hop. And and this chick walks up to my car, to my window, and starts trying to talk to me through my window. So I was like, what the shit? And so I roll the window down, and I'm not, you know, being how we are, I'm just like ready for, you know, something bad to happen. And I'm like, yo, what's up? She's like, why did you honk at me back there? I didn't realize it was a girl at first either, because everybody's in jackets around here. So I looked at it. I saw it was a girl, and I was like, okay. And she's like, why did you honk at me? I was like, what do you mean? I was like, you're on your fucking phone, walking so slow, you're almost walking backwards, oblivious to what's happening around you. And I was like, why are you coming up to my vehicle to talk about it? Is the question.
Yeah.
So I've been asking people, and Erica, you know, verified this for me. But which thing is more ridiculous? Is the honk more ridiculous than her come up to window? Because I don't think that's the case.
Yeah, her coming up to the window is pretty fucking crazy. But
isn't that ridiculous?
Who
does that?
We're from Florida, where if you do that in Florida, there's a good chance that you'll get fucking shot in the face.
Right. Well, I didn't want to go into that part, but you already know. You already know where I was at.
So I mean, yeah, like.
But that's the level of entitlement of pedestrians here, and I feel like you should be able to walk across the road, and I get a lot of it. I'm down with that, but not to the point where you're like if I'm in the road, isn't it just like a human courtesy just to be like, say hey or wave or throw up a peace sign and just kind of like, just hurry up a little bit, to put a little skip in your step.
Or if I'm walking and I cross a road, and somebody stops for me so I can cross the road, I make sure to wave and say thank you.
Exactly.
I mean, that's what I do. But
exactly.
This chick's so fucking oblivious, strapped in her phone playing Pokemon Go and shit. Like fucking, that's crazy, man. And then she has the balls to come up to you. She better never go to She better never go to New York, bro. Because you've been in New York
about the whole time. Bro.
Yeah, you've been in New York. You know how fucking crazy they are with the horns up there,
exactly.
man.
You're running into people, running into cars, let alone people too. They don't care. But I understand that, that mentality. So I come from that. So yeah. So I think there should be a level of respect when you're doing it. But these are the things that I have to complain about out here. So obviously, not important deals whatsoever. That's like the worst thing I could say it's happened since I've been out here.
Yeah, man. So, I wanted to talk. We've been talking for a little bit before we got on the podcast here, but something that I specifically didn't ask you about while we were talking pre-podcast because I wanted to hear about it on the show. Your trip out there, dude. You drove from St. Pete to fucking Seattle. That's like, as far as if you were in Key West, that would be a little bit further, but driving from Florida in general all the way up to Washington State is pretty fucking insane. So
it was definitely a mission, man. It was definitely a mission, but it was really cool at the same time. And I tried to appreciate it as much as I could through all the, the madness. Cause I felt like, we may not do something in that. There's no way we're doing something like that again, because here's how you want to know how it went from start to finish, how the process was to do all that.
Yeah, throw it at me. Let's talk about focus on specifically the trip, like when you guys got into the car and fucking left Florida, or left Tampa.
So we leave. So we're staying at our mom's house, and we leave from there early in the morning, like 6 o'clock in the morning, and we used a moving service where you had basically just a container that you had to fill up, and then they went and picked it up and took it over there for you. But we didn't get enough of our stuff into that container because we just didn't. It didn't work out like that for us.
Oh, shit.
So we ended up having an entire back seat full of stuff, like to the point where I couldn't even lay the chair back to lay down. So that kind of made it a little bit worse. That was unnecessary struggle that we gave ourselves, but it's the Yaris, a little 4-cylinder car.
Right.
So we're all packed up to the point where it's like you could see the weight in the back, like leaning down on the tires, and we pull out and we just start driving. Whatever. The first trip was 14 hours to Houston. We just went straight 14 hours to Houston. Yeah, and that was the longest that I've been in the car, like straight. But that really wasn't as bad as it sounds, because we were kind of like on our way out. It was the first day. We're all hyped up, and then we had a friend to stay with in Houston. So the trip was, pretty straight up, man. We took 19 all the way to 10, and then 10 to Houston. And it's mostly, flat in the south. So it was pretty laid back, but we drove through where I used to stay, like literally drove through Biloxi and,
awesome.
Gulfport area when I was stationed up there, when I used to call in and talk. We talked all the time back then and, on these podcasts. And, so we drove through there and, flicked it off and kept going. So you drive through Louisiana a little bit too. So we got through some swampy areas, and then we were getting into Houston just as the sun was going down. And Houston looked really pretty, man. It was pretty cool. Pretty dope city. There's a lot more people there than I realized. And so we ended up crashing with a friend of ours, and getting some authentic Mexican food, and minus the sour cream, and and hung out. But the trip, man, wasn't like a normal trip where you get time to sit here and explore an area, because, we're on timeline. So we took 9 days to get from Florida to Seattle, which was still kind of, lax. So we could have went harder, obviously. But even that put us in a different state every day for the most part.
That's a lot of of stress for me when I think about 9 days of driving across the country with a fucking backseat that's packed. Because I saw the vlog. Your wife does a vlog, and it's actually really good.
Yes.
If anybody wants to check it out, it's what is the name of it? Is it Erica Goes Pacific Northwest?
Erica Jane at YouTube right now. Or it's just Erica Jane with the J straight up.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
we're actually we're looking to change that a bit, because when you guys go to type it in, some other Erica Jane with a K and a Y is going to come up, and I don't know what this bitch is doing, but I don't know if she's doing if it's like porn music or whatever she does, but whatever it is, she's hogging all of our views. But for now, it's Erica Jane. You have to search for her little clickbait, and you'll find it.
Yeah, but so the series is called Erica Goes Pacific Northwest, right? Is that what the series
Correct.
is? Okay.
Yeah.
That's what the vlog is actually called. So yeah.
So her first, she did a couple of vlogs before we left, but she really essentially just started doing vlogs for the trip. Like that's she was inspired to do that.
Right. Well, I felt like that she was.
We're gonna see all these places.
I felt like she was documenting what she was leaving behind, what she moved, like, because you got at the beginning of the channel, at the beginning of the series, you kind of see a little bit of you guys' life here in Florida, where you guys go to the gardens. What is it, Cypress Gardens? And a couple of the
Sunken Gardens in St. Pete,
Sunken Gardens, that's it. And then you guys went to the Dolly Museum and a couple of things. So that was cool, getting to see you guys, like how things were here in Tampa, and then what you guys went through over the trip. As of right now, it's up to you guys where you guys were in Vegas. So I've seen all the way up to Vegas. What was that? What was that like? What was Vegas like?
So before the Vegas thing, I got to tell you about probably the toughest part of the trip that we had.
Okay. Yeah, definitely.
So we went after Houston, short stay. We left the next morning, and we went to San Antonio, which was only like 3 hours away, and that's where we got married. So that was fun for us. We actually had a great time there. Went down, stayed on Riverwalk, met these awesome bartenders who I won't call out because I'm pretty sure what they did was way too much. But we sat there and drank all of their their extra special marinated tequila that they had sitting there that you can only get from their spot or whatever. And the bartender just hooked us up, man. Yeah, it was awesome. And we had a hard time getting up the next morning. But San Antonio was awesome. And we went from San Antonio to the Grand Canyon, but that's where the problem came. Or no, I'm sorry, San Antonio to Albuquerque. And once we left San Antonio, so we had this great time. Everything's going according to plan, whatever. Of course, right, we're in the middle of nowhere, BFE, Texas, where there's literally nothing but desert. The car starts shaking while we're driving it. So I get out, and it's so hot outside. I get on the pavement. It's like burning hot, so I'm like searing my skin to check under the car and pop the hood open, and it's like steam everywhere. And it was it was a little bit more dramatic than I think it really was. But I had just put those tires on there, so I thought maybe it was something to do with that. But we didn't know. So we pull into the next town, which had a population of 800, and I try to ask for help. First, I go to a dollar store, then I go to another place, and like people are really aloof about, my long-haired, tattooed, bearded ass coming in and asking questions,
Yeah.
And meanwhile, I'm just like, oh, I'm really concerned here because we got a long ways to go. And so I couldn't find any help there. I had one guy can't come outside. The only person in town. It wasn't even like an official auto shop. I think they're just like people with a lift. He comes outside. He looks at it, and I'm like, yeah, I think it's probably just like a bubble in the tire, And he's like, mm-hmm. And I was like, so can you help me? And he's like, nah, we got a truck up on the lift. It's all took apart. Can't take it down now. And I'm like, all right, well, I guess I'm done here then, So we had to drive another 40 miles or so. We were going like 40 miles per hour during it, so it took forever and threw us off our time, our timeline that we were on, and finally got to another town, and just like I thought, it was just like a separated tire or something, and replaced the tire real quick. People helped us out. It's cheap. It was awesome. And then we got moving. So that was really the only hitch in the whole process. But from there, we went to the Grand Canyon, Albuquerque, and it was a very stressful day that day, though, because even with the tire getting back on, since we got put back in time, we ended up driving into Albuquerque at nighttime. Well, I didn't know was that there's mountains surrounding Albuquerque, and so in the middle of the night, we get to the city. As we're getting into the city, we start going on twists and turns like I'm in Space Mountain at Disney World. I was like, oh my God, Erica had her face buried in a pillow and stuff. I mean, it was like insane, like, because you couldn't see anything, you know. I didn't expect it because the GPS goes in and out and stuff. So I was just kind of driving, you know, and I was like, oh my God. And it seemed like it was literally forever. So it took us ended up taking us longer than it should have. It was like another 14-hour trip, I think, that time, or something long. And finally we pull into this last minute hotel that we booked because a friend of mine was supposed to put us up before the family emergency. And we go in, and this place used to be a hospital, like in the 1800s.
Holy shit.
and they hipstered it up and refurbished it into a hotel. Right. So we show up, I'm wearing a white tee and Dickies, and she's wearing like pajamas and stuff, you know. We're all just tormented by the day, you know, looking all ragged. And we go into the bar up top trying to get food right before they close at like 11. And we walk in there and everybody's like dressed to the nines. This bar is like super fancy. People are wearing like tuxes and dresses and shit. I was like, oh man, I was like, this is not good. I was like, we just need some food. We went up to the waitress, and I think she just literally looked at us and saw how shitty we looked and felt bad for us. And she got us like, we paid like $100 for like a bunch of appetizers. It was ridiculous, but we didn't give a shit. We were so hungry. So she gave us a bunch of, you know, she got us all this stuff. And so we're sitting on the rooftop, looking at the city, relaxing. We're like, oh God, I think we're so happy we made it. Right. And these local girls that are drunk start talking to us from like another table. And they're like, oh, you guys from around here, blah, blah, blah. And once they find out that we weren't from around there, she's like, oh, well, you guys know this used to be a mental institute, right? Like an insane asylum. And I'm just like eating my food, looking at Erica. I was like, this bitch, I hope she stops talking to him. And she kept on going about it. And she's like, she's like, it's not a big deal. But, you know, when you lay down to go to sleep tonight, you know, don't be scared or worried about if you hear any bumps in the night. And I'm like, oh, I was like, that's the last thing that I'm going to be worried about, right? So we finish up, we go downstairs, and here's where it starts getting weird. Erica goes, takes a shower. I'm sitting relaxing. I'm smoking. I'm trying to unwind, right? She comes out of the shower, and she looks at the door, and she's like, oh, my God. And I was like, what? And she's like, there's a crack in the door now. And I was like, what? She's like, look at this crack, as if some apparition sliced a chop in the door while she was taking a shower. That's what she had in her mind. I was like, dude, that was there already or something, you know? I was like, you are tripping. We are worn out right now. So she goes to sleep, and I keep smoking a little bit. And I don't believe in anything, you know, like that, otherworldly, like that, in that sense, I guess. And but I started smoking, I'm sitting there, I'm like, you know what, it is kind of weird that we're in here. You know, the bar had a bunch of labels from old medicines, you know, like, you know, opium and different things plastered on the wall. And we're staying in the doctor's quarters. And I was like, you know, this is kind of weird. And basically, I didn't get that much sleep that night either.
Oh shit!
I ended up getting high and weirded myself out. But it was actually a really cool hotel and pretty laid back. So we had all that happen before the Grand Canyon, and of course we saw the Grand Canyon, which was pretty straightforward. And then Vegas, which is where she's at on the vlog series now, which we only had, as she says, 14 hours. To do what we could there. And after all that, we were actually pretty worn out and hell bent on coming back to Vegas and doing it differently. So we just kind of used it as a stopping point. Everything after Vegas is where the trip got really, really, really cool.
Nice. So what was it like being in those videos with your wife filming? Like, I mean, how was it awkward at all?
You know, I don't think I made it easier for her, because I really, you know, I didn't really want to be like a main focal point for her. I just wanted her, you know, I didn't want to be like a part of it really. I just wanted her to do her own thing, and, you know, whatever, if she included me in a couple of things, that's cool, you know, but I didn't want to be like a major part of it. But so she's kept me out of it by request. But recently, after this last one, actually, you know, we recorded so much footage on the way over, and there was so many conversations that we had with each other that were like really funny. You know, as you know how it is. She's sitting there going through all the footage and listening to stuff over and over again, like you said.
Yeah.
And but every once in a while she comes upon something funny. I was like, you know what? I was like, you should put that in, try to lace a couple more of those into the next videos, because I feel like that makes it, more relatable for people, especially like couples and stuff, because it did, she's taken out a lot of the human elements, by my request.
Right, but it's also very interesting to see it from your, like, even just not even explain from your point of view, but just to see how you take that. I mean, because it's not, everybody doesn't have, their spouse walking around filming everything that they do. So it's
yeah, right.
It's
right.
kind of a, like, Erica's good at it. She's
Yeah, for sure.
she's really personable on camera. She keeps attention with the audience. It's really good, but like, you also get to see how you, like, kind of don't want to be in the videos, kind of. But it would be better if you included more of that stuff, like, just to see how how someone reacts in that situation.
Yeah, right. That's exactly what I just started. That's literally what we talked about, I think, last night or the night before, whenever she was posting that Vegas video, because she showed me some of the stuff that she had and some of the conversations I listened to. I was like, those are pretty interesting and pretty funny, actually, because I was pretty opposed to being. I just didn't like. I have no problem. Obviously, we've done how many podcasts, recordings that you and I have made, and I've done with other people. But I just didn't want to be. I don't know. I didn't like the idea of being on video for some reason.
It's
but
weird.
also,
it's weird when your wife is doing it too.
Yeah, right. I mean, she just starts. She's getting used to, like, how she's going to talk to her. But it's not an easy thing to do, to sit there and talk, because no one's talking back. You're just talking to the camera. So you got to sit there and you got to be able to carry thoughts and conversations without.
Boy, do I know about that?
Yeah, right. It's like going live on your podcast. So I mean, you got to carry conversation with no reciprocation. But so yeah, I don't think I could do that. It's pretty difficult. So she does a good job. But yeah, after going over it, I feel like in the videos upcoming, I think we'll probably lace in a little bit more of our conversations and things that, maybe my viewpoints, as you're saying, so that you can so that viewers can get an idea of what it was like for some grumpy old soul like me to be
just a normal person
a normal person to be around a camera for 9 days straight, driving across the country.
Yeah, I mean, because people don't do that. I mean, I guess more so than ever, people are, they're filming themselves and recording themselves and putting it out there for people as content. But I mean, it's kind of still a rare thing that somebody takes and puts that much effort into making something like your wife is making with this channel, and
for sure.
And you just have to go along for the ride. I mean, that's
pretty much it.
That's a pretty interesting way of, it's interesting content. I mean, it's something that I've enjoyed watching, and I've looked at you guys' views. You guys got a good number of views. So, I mean, it looks like people are finding it interesting. I think, but definitely what you're saying is adding in more of that stuff that you specifically were like, nah, I don't put that in there. But now you're seeing,
yes.
it's kind of an integral part of the whole thing, the whole aspect of the vlog. I mean, it's all about,
because
it's about her life, and you're part of her life. So
yeah, obviously being married, you're a major part of each other, or even with somebody for a long period of time. Like you and Andy, you're a big part of each other's lives, major part of each other's lives, and so it should be shown. It took me going across the country and seeing all these places and going through that trip and seeing what she was doing with it. And then even her sitting down and looking at it here to really, like, appreciate, that concept. So I do think more people would, find it probably interesting to see me, dealing with the camera and stuff at different points in time. But as the trip went on, and even as we got here, I got more comfortable with the idea of it and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think it gives people, something to really grab onto, because we're just two people, two young people in a car full of junk, driving across the country trying to do something different. So it was definitely an experience,
Yeah, now that it's up there and it's like, it's on YouTube and it's on the internet, I mean, it's going to be there. So hopefully forever. I mean, hopefully we'll have that kind of content around forever. So, I mean, in 20 years or in 30 years, you guys can look back on that trip and be like, wow, you know,
Right.
that was a fucking big move, man. That was like a big part of your life, and you've got all that captured on film. You know, that's something that people dream of doing. You know, being able to capture their lives and be able to, you know, show it to their kids or their grandkids in 40, 50 years, you know? Like, that's what I'm digging about doing this podcast is, like, I mean, it's kind of like a conversation with me, and if I ever have kids or, you know, grandkids or whatever, or, you know, even just distant relatives down the future in 50 years, they're like, oh, let's see what that crazy guy Jerrad was up to on the Jerrad Show. And boom, there it is. There's all the fucking content there. So
yeah, man, I think that idea actually set in when I was over here. I want to say somebody probably put it in my head, but I'm not sure who. But what they said was, this is, you know, a legacy in a way. So even if you didn't have kids, you're leaving a video log,
exactly,
you know, or she's leaving a video log of her life, you know, so that no matter, you know, in whatever wreckage and whatever, you know, futuristic, you know, environment or whatever whatever happens to this earth in 10, 50, 100 years, you know, there's a good chance that, you know, a lot of this stuff is going to be around, and it's literally, you know, her life and our life at this point. So I think it did start to set in, and I felt like more into the idea of what, you know, what she was trying to accomplish after, you know, after reflecting on it. Hindsight's 2020, you know? Yeah,
definitely, man. Well,
but yeah, it was a crazy trip, man. It was a crazy trip for sure.
Well, yeah, dude, I'm definitely gonna have to get you back on the podcast and talk about more of it. Probably as the videos come out, maybe we can even have your wife on with you, like a conference call, and we could all talk about.
Oh yeah, that sounds good, man. You know she'd love it.
Yeah, so that would be pretty cool. But we're gonna wrap it up here. Now we're pushing the maximum mark of a Jerrad Show. You got any? You got
always pushing the limits, man.
You got any social media that the listeners could follow you, and if you want them to check out or anything like that? Because you got some pretty cool shit on your Instagram and Twitter. You go ahead and shoot that out too.
Yeah, I took my own little pictures, man, along the way. So there's some cool stuff to check out. I'm at Trusty Old Freedom at Instagram, and then Trusty Old Free DM on Twitter, but I don't really get on there much. Instagram's kind of my entree for social media. So check it out, man. So there's definitely some picturesque places that we got to visit and explore along the way that I got some pretty good pics of. So it's worth a check. It's worth a shot.
Nice, man. Well, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, for sure.
Definitely hit up Daniel on the Instagram then, and you can hit up, you know, Jerrad Show on Facebook always. That's a staple. It's facebook.com/Jerrad Show, or go to JerradShow.com and you know, listen to all the episodes that I do. Thinking of possibly even, you know, starting a new podcast. This podcast has gone so well, we could totally do a podcast every week or whatever.
Oh, you already know, man. Give the people more of what they want, right? We'll see what happens. We might have some good things in store in the near future, right?
Definitely.
See what we can do.
We'll put some irons in the fire and see what comes of it, bro. So
yeah, sounds good to me, my man. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being on this episode, man. It's nice catching up, and you know, we'll have to do this again. We didn't even get into the Cascades. You know, that trip that you took to the Cascades that you wanted to talk to me all about, and I was like, hold it for the show.
First camping trip as a flat Earth Floridian, you know.
Exactly. That's pretty interesting. We'll have to get onto all that, and we'll do it next time on the Jerrad Show. But thanks for listening and tuning in to everybody that's listening, and talk to you next time. See ya.